So, number 5 on my list is Dwellings of Eldervale. Well, if you haven't lived under a rock and you're a gamer, you've probably seen this either on Kickstarter or everybody talking about it on the internet or Board Game Geek. This is one of the best games of 2020, if not the best game of 2020. It has a fantastic solo mode, the Ghosts of Eldervale, and uses a deck of atomic cards as well as being able to put the worker placement in and scoring and mirroring what you do. Acts pretty closely to another player actually. Great it's a great solo implementation. I really like it. I think it's one of the best out there in terms of a 1 to 5 player game and then adding solo rules. This was not an afterthought. This was a well thought out plan by Luke Laurie and his team of developers. I think Dwellings of Eldervale, as I've said, is probably the best game of the year. It is probably one of the best solo games I have. However, the reason why I put it at number 5 is because it's not a solo only game. I really wanted to concentrate on solo only games, but I felt that this game was good enough to be able to actually put it in the top 5, and I think it's well worth it. So enjoy this game, Dwellings of Eldervale. By the way, it is on Tabletop Simulator. It has a great script. The ghosts follow you around. They score. They do what they're supposed to do. So if you want to try out the solo play, check out Tabletop Simulator if you don't own the game. So what's up for number 4? Well, Arkham Horror Noir. This is a solo-only card game. Kind of reminds me of the old Patience card game where you match a set or a tableau as you build towards the win. This game is a great game, sets up very, very quickly. It's replayable. It is a single-player game only. I have yet to win. You have to match the symbols as you go through and set up a line of cards to try to solve the particular crime. It is a great little game. It takes about 30 minutes to play. The designer Yves Turgenet did a great job here, and there is a first version, which I have. I have both versions, Arkham Noir 1 and Arkham Noir 2. It's a small footprint game, so if you're looking for a game to travel with that you can set up quickly in a hotel room, and do a quick game before bed, this is my number 5. I think it's one of the best implemented card games there are. And in fact, I just got Pulp Invasion, and I would say that Pulp Invasion is about as close as you come to Arkham Noir. I did a run through for Pulp Invasion the other day. I am working on that, and you should see that in a few days. But for now, I'd highly recommend Arkham Noir if you can find it. I had to go to England for it, for Amazon, because getting a copy in North America and Canada was especially difficult. But again, this is a good game. It's not rated. The weight is 2.08 out of 5, so it's fairly simple to learn. And I would say if you should play this game. And I believe it actually is on Tabletop Simulator as well. So again, you could go out and give it a try. It's not an expensive game. I think it ran £10 at the most. So it's $15 plus shipping, so maybe 20. Great game. I highly recommend it. This is number 4. Number 3, Mechana Akana. This is a crawler game. This is where you mix steampunk with Cthulhu. And what gets better than that than steampunk and Cthulhu? This plays out on 2 boards, basically, that rotate in and out with other boards as you move across. So there's this idea of scrolling. You play up to 4 characters. I recommend at least 2, if not 4. This is a fabulous game. You craft steampunk items on workbenches through the game. You fight Cthulhu-based monsters. The game is a bit of a bear to set up and play. It takes about 150 minutes, or about I'd say closer to 3 hours by the time you set this up and tear it down. It is a heavyweight game, but it is a lot of fun to play. It takes up a lot of table space, as you would expect, and so that is to be expected. of a game of this nature, a crawler. This is a very unique game. It has some very unique mechanics. It is a solo only game or a cooperative game. The monsters move in a prescribed way, much like Gloomhaven has. I would say this almost has more in common with Gloomhaven than others, but not quite, because of the monsters, and they have spawn spots, and you try to destroy spawn spots and try to fulfill a narrative as you're playing the game, almost Arkham Horror-ish, the LCG or the game where you're filling out a card-based narrative. It's a great game. I highly recommend it. It is on the expensive side. It just had another printing because there were some different rule changes between the second and third edition and some new cards and thought. I went all in with the third edition, even though I had a second edition, which I bought secondhand. So I'm very excited to see the third edition and what's new in the expansion. So this is my number 3 game right at the moment. It doesn't get played as much as it should. Of course, none of my games are being played much as they should at this moment because I'm doing a lot of videoing and different work for my channel. But definitely a look-see if you're looking for a heavyweight crawler. This is my number 3. Number 4, Dawn of the This is number 2. Number 2, Dawn of the Zeds Victory Point games. The Victory Point games, solo games, are in my top 1 and 2 spot. Dawn of the Zeds is a post-apocalyptic Zetalyptic game where you fight zombies. It is kind of a tower defense, though not strictly a tower defense game. There is a track. There's 4 tracks in which Zeds or zombies are spawned upon, and they move ever closer to your enclave. You play characters, between 1 and 4 characters, all with different abilities and special abilities. There are event cards, which are typical of a game like this, where you're going to play a specific event, which inevitably messes you up in some way. This is one of the most fun games I have ever played solo. It is a lot of fun. It is a bit of a bear. The playtime's around 2 hours. The weight is heavy, around 3.75 out of 5, according to Board Game Geek. There are a lot of rules, so you're going to be expected to be referring back to the rulebook a number of times. The rulebook is pretty good. The event cards can be a bit ambiguous at times, but you can. The first few plays are going to be a learning of the first play takes you through a learning curve, so it's pretty good that way. I highly recommend it. It also comes with different scenarios, I think 8 or 10. The board is 2-sided, so you have a sort of a city side where they come down the highways versus a underground side where they come down tunnels with some different mechanics. There are some mini expansions that add horses and other things to the game. I picked this up in the Kickstarter a little while ago. The second edition, this is the second edition, I believe, and it was reprinted. It is an amazing game. I highly recommend it. Sorry, it's the third edition of the game. It was just recently reprinted by Victory Point Games. If you can get a hands on this, I highly recommend this. This is a lot of fun to play. Really enjoy it for a lot of reasons. And I'm surprised that I like filler and medium weight games, but this is a heavier game. It is random. You're going to roll dice. If you don't enjoy that, you may not like it because often it doesn't end well because, hey, I have the Will Wheaton curse and I roll bad dice all the time. This is my number 2. And my number 1, this is ultimately my favorite solo game, Nemos War. This has to be about the heaviest solo game I own. And even though BGG rates it lower in complexity than Dawn of the Zeds, I think it is more complex. But that's just my own opinion. This game has gotten a lot of love lately. There's been some number of expansions, which is great because it sort of sat in limbo with Victory Point games for a while. The base game was hard to get, and when I finally got it, it was amazing. And so there's been, I think, 3 expansions, and another one's on its way very soon. Basically, what they've done is added more of what's already in the game. They're not adding more boards. I believe they add more cards, more story, more things you can do. The game is based on a what you choose. So basically, the game is the same, but it's replayable because you can play different aspects of like scientific exploration, political, and those cards will influence how the victory points are scored at the end of the game. So there's about 6 of them now, or 8 of them now, I think. Plus, there's some new events. There's some holiday cards. I think Christmas is in there too now. There's some new technical cards that helps you build out your submarine. You basically go from area to area, trying to search for treasure, uprise the natives of different islands, try to blow up ships, all of which can be negative or positive depending on what scenario that you're playing. It is very random. I think that nails me. I don't think I've ever done well in this game, though it is a lot of fun to play. I highly recommend it. Again, this is another game that is on Tabletop Simulator. Oh, actually, I believe it's also on Tabletopia as well. I would highly recommend checking this out. This is my #1 game of all time. Still continues to be. I've had this game for at least 3, 4 years now, and I love it. And it's not going out of my collection anytime soon. The components are wonderful. As with all these games that I've just mentioned, they have above and beyond in their components. So I would so you're going to get the value out of these games. If you like quality of life, there's value in these games. I recommend if you could get the latest reprint of Nemos War in the bigger box, I highly recommend that. The cloth map that they came out, you can't really use, but it is fun to look at and have. But this is my #1 game. I thank you for watching what my top solo games are in my collection. I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please like this. If you really like it, I really like subscribers. I'm doing this for you. I'm having a blast. So please look for other videos and other on my channel, the North of 60 Gaming channel. I thank you. My name is Harry Jacobs, and I am the North of 60 Gamer.